Coach, what's the mood of your football team? I know there's a 24-hour aerobic practice and everything.
Had a really good practice last night. Guys ran around well. We were out there practicing in the cold and rain, and was very encouraged by what I saw. So I think, I hope that we learn from our mistakes, and that's part of the process of becoming a good football team, is trying not to repeat the same mistakes twice.
Coach, what's the biggest lesson you think these guys learned from having a 17-point lead, seeing it kind of slip away? What's the biggest lesson that you can take?
Well, I think there's probably a couple things. You know, a lot of times when you jump out early on people, you may kind of feel good about yourself. And I'm not sure that happened. I thought it was more of a lull by our offense, specifically, than anything. But, you know, we jumped out there, came out, we were ready to play. You know, so it's not like we weren't ready to play on the road. So that part was good. But I think the thing that we had learned is, even though you may go through some tough times and struggle here and there, is you got to find a way to make a play. You know, and we're so close on a lot of plays, specifically third down, of converting third down and keeping a drive alive. And you know, we don't do our job, whether it's catch, block, throw, run, or take the right read, whatever the case may be. And you know, third down is a money down. It really is. And either you stay on the field or your defense goes back out there. So that's one thing we learned. And I think the biggest thing we learned is you can't give a football team 14 points. You know, you cannot have a fumble in your own end zone, and you cannot throw a pick six. You know, and we threw a pick six after a 3rd and 1 that we converted, and Bellamy ran for 20-some yards because we got a holding call, self-inflicted. You know, so hopefully we've learned from that, and I think we have. You know, the future will tell, but we'll see what happens.
Eric, some of the mistakes also were some mental mistakes. How do you go about correcting the mental mistakes?
Well, the personal fouls, you know, we run. You know, and you know, 2 of those personal fouls were by upperclassmen, and just nonsense, ridiculous, and bad decisions. So I think we made our point there, and you know, getting one of those personal fouls can cost you a game. It really can, you know, because of field position. You know, that was a big game. That game was big with field position because of the wind. You know, the wind was strong, and one personal foul just killed us with field position there. So we got to learn from that, and you know, we came out and had a 21-yard punt, and then we had another personal foul on top of it, so you had a net of 6. You know, that wasn't a good situation there. So, but you know, that's the past. We get moved on, and I'll be interested to see if we have learned. I believe we have. They're saying all the right things. I want to see their actions for it.
Is the silver lining a little bit maybe, hey, we beat ourselves last week. We should have won. We beat ourselves. It was self-inflicted.
Lost by 10 and gave them 14, and played sloppy and played poor for the most part on offense. You know, 2nd and 3rd quarter.
You face a team that's kind of been up and down. They beat Kansas on the run, so that right out of the gate tells you they're a pretty good football team. What can you tell us about North Dakota State? And have they been using 2 quarterbacks?
Well, you know, the thing about North Dakota State that jumps out at me right away is they are a big, physical football team. And they're probably the biggest team in our league. On their depth chart, you see they advertise their height and weight. You know, they're proud of how big they are. And you know, coach has been there 8 years. He's done a good job recruiting. I mean, they're a very talented football team. I can see why they beat Kansas. They got a good group over there. I mean, their defense has only given up 14 points a game. They're near number 1 in almost every special teams category. And the thing that's probably the most impressive to me is they've outscored their opponents 71-17 in the 2nd half. So that tells me they wear you down.
Are they using 2 quarterbacks? I mean, the one kid's been
Yeah,
a freshman.
They're gonna. I don't know what their thought is there. You know, without being on the inside, I think at times maybe when you get in games and you struggle a little bit. Also, you know, they got behind a couple games, had to start throwing. So, what their thought process is there? I mean, they have the ability to go from 2 and 3 tight end sets to jump out and go spread on you and throw the ball around a little bit. So they're multiple, but the question is are they doing that because they're behind, which is probably the reason why they're doing it. I think they're a run-first team. That's what they prefer to do, and you know, just make you earn everything on offense from an offensive standpoint, and play good special teams, fill position, those type of things. And I see them as a team that's in a situation where they're 0-2 in the conference right now, and their back's against the wall a little bit. They played 2 good teams from the conference. Played Northern Iowa and Western Illinois, who's playing well. And when you watch both of those games, you can see that both those teams are good, and you know they're a good team.
With Kurt, the freshman quarterback, you kind of concerned the way he's going to bounce back from the game, or yeah, I guess you just.
He'll be fine. You know, I got a lot of confidence in Kurt, and you know, he'll learn from his mistakes. You know, and I believe that he knows the right decision to make, and he obviously knows that he could have made a better decision a couple times. And, you know, we got to help him out too. You know, you got to be able to give your quarterback confidence and the ability to set his feet and throw the football. You know, if you always feel like you have pressure and people are constantly coming down on you and caving in around you, you kind of get antsy and you may rush a decision that you wouldn't normally make. So we have to give him an ability to set his feet, and that means doing some different things in protection, and that's what we need to do. If we need to move the pocket, then we need to move the pocket. But we need to get him where he can feel comfortable and set his feet, and we haven't always been able to give him that.
Coach, Missouri State had some success in containing the running game. North Dakota State is ranked among the best in the country at doing that. How do you adjust? How do you overcome?
I think Missouri State was self-inflicted. Wasn't anything necessarily schematically that they did that caused us not to have the success we expect to have. Now North Dakota, they'll line up and physically knock you back. You know, they're a big, strong football team, and their guys lift weights year-round, and they look like they've spent some time in the weight room. They got all kind of muscles popping out in their pants and jerseys. So you'll see on Saturday, they're a good-looking football team.
Eric, are you surprised that the conference is so wide? I know there's only 2 games, but the conference is so wide open right now.
Yeah, I am, really. I really am, because, you know, prior to the season, I kind of circled about 3 or 4 teams there that I thought were far superior in talent. And, you know, everybody's just kind of out there. Well, you know, everybody's kind of just playing right now. And I think the month of October is going to be a defining moment for a lot of teams in this conference. Youngstown being one of them. You know, we're going to take it one game at a time, but I think there's a lot of big games coming up here for a lot of teams in this conference that are going to make or break their season.
Coach, they like to run the ball, but they also, I think it's Holloway's his name's a receiver. He's kind of a big play guy, and looking at the stats, a lot of catches over 30 yards.
Well, the thing is when they force you to commit a bunch of people to the run game. So you get everybody down there and stop their run, because they got 6'6", 300-some-pound guys across the board. So they lay on you and pound you and pound you and pound you, and then all of a sudden they play action, and one of those guys comes scot-free. So it's just a matter of whether he can complete the ball or not. So, but they're a dangerous team in the fact that I see them much like the old Nebraska teams, whereas they wear you down. I mean, there's a reason why they scored 71 points in the second half, outscored their opponent 71-17.
And also, they're pretty good in their special teams.
Oh, we're 1 and 2 in every category, except for kickoff return. You know, so they're pretty good, but they got good players too. I mean, you know, well coached, good players.